Yo, people, welcome back to another stream, and I'm joined with Mani. And wow, what a day of cricket we had today! But there's so more to unpack. In the other days, of course, Ireland getting a shock victory over England, and South Africa, Riley Rousseau proving to be the key to unlock South Africa. Then, of course, Zimbabwe doing the unthinkable, the unimaginable, and beating Pakistan. And then, of course, you got out, Australia beating Sri Lanka easily dispatched. Then, of course, you got the heroics of Surya Kumar Yadav steering India to victory. And that's what unfolded. And we're here with Mani to discuss and dig deep into how everything unfolded. But before we get into everything, Mani, how are you doing? Of course, England, they may get grouped, but besides that, how are you doing?
Well, you've also asked me to do this stream with you. It's a nice break from what happened in the football today. The less said about Arsenal's performance, the better. It was diabolical.
It's better.
And
Oh, it's better.
England losing against Ireland the way they did was obviously a game waiting to happen, in my opinion, because England have tended to have this really bad habit of not being able to step up the gas whenever they would need to. I'm reminded of an incident in the 2003 World Cup. I don't know if you were born then, but that was, of course, hosted by South Africa and Zimbabwe. And I believe England was supposed to were playing Namibia. Alex Stewart was captaining England that day, and strangely enough, England very nearly would have lost to Namibia by the Duckworth-Lewis method because they were behind them in terms of run rate. Thankfully, the rain held up long enough for England to complete a decent win. But batsman Jan Berry Berger, who top scored with an innings of 80 odd, obviously impressed. And one of the headlines which caught people's eye was England almost choke on a king sized burger. So this particular defeat to Ireland was a repeat of that. There were warning signs as well against Afghanistan because although England did bowl and field magnificently, their batting, for some reason, has not been able to fire on all cylinders as we would expect. Josh Butler, in particular, I think, has found it very difficult. And he needs to get back into form ASAP against Australia when they play tomorrow. But England do have some problems. And for Ireland, it's a nice fillip for them, a terrific result, and they deserve all the credit they can get. And of course, commentating on India Pakistan was a memorable experience. And as you said to me, Hannah, Mohammad Nawaz bottled it that day. He bottled it again today. And I wouldn't
Yeah,
be surprised if he gets a drop for the next game because for him to bottle it three times would not be fair for him or the team.
yeah,
Pakistan are in dire straits as well. At least we've
yeah,
won a game. They haven't.
yeah, definitely. Um, but yeah, one thing that shocked me for England, um, versus um Ireland was how how close it actually it. Everyone is saying how what would the results have been if Douglas Lewis, uh, if the rain did come down, of course. I'm not going to say that other name because I can't speak today. But yeah, it would definitely be interesting. But like you said, England's batting just all over the place. And I think, of course, Moeen Ali just was starting to get into the game, meant hitting boundaries. But will he, would the England have won? I don't think so because look how tight it was. As the few games that has gone down to the wire so far, mostly the bowling side has come up on top. If you look today's game versus Zimbabwe, um, and then of course Pakistan versus India, where Pakistan should have won, but they didn't. Um, but you look, they should have won. I think England, Ireland, they still would have won. I personally think. But do you think Ireland would they have won Ireland or not?
Not really, because I mean, I give credit to the Ireland bowlers for actually bowling very well first up. Um, in terms of the economy rate, the likes of Adair and Little were outstanding, under six and over. And then, of course, you had Barry McCarthy and Fian Hand and Dockrell, the left arm spinner, who chipped in with a wicket apiece. Only Gareth Delaney was comparatively smacked around the park. It was a case of England beginning their innings a little bit too slowly, losing wickets at the worst possible time, not being able to forge a really good partnership, with the possible exception of the one between David Milan and Harry Brook. And again, you can't. If you know that rain is in the air, you cannot allow yourself to get bogged down. You just can't. And what's even more galling is obviously England elected to field first, so they knew that batting second, like they did against Afghanistan, they had the task spelt out for them. I still think, though, that with the way, if you take a look at a ball by ball analysis, obviously England was starting to come back into the picture and, really start to hit out a little bit. But it was sort of a case of it becoming a bit too little, a bit too late, not being able to, keep wickets in hand whenever they needed to keep wickets in hand. Of course, the last three balls of the 14th over, which it ended after the third ball of the 13th over, Moeen Ali at 6, 2, and 4, so 12 runs off three balls. And that got England quite close. But the fact that England were never close, I mean, that's just a failure of strategy, a failure of, the team in question. And Butler will have some work to do in terms of trying to make sure he reviews his strategy, maybe makes one or two more changes, perhaps. The batting needs a lot of improvement. It is very easy to say that with the momentum, we probably would have won. And there's also a case for saying that, if Ireland had found their rhythm and gotten a few wickets, we would have been put under pressure. So it might be hard to say.
Yeah.
All I will say at the end is that if England knew that the rain was going to play a factor and the Duckworth-Lewis would come into the equation, they should have been aggressive from the get-go, and they failed to do that. And with a batting lineup of the likes of Butler and Hales and Ben Stokes, and of course Moeen Ali, there is no excuse for a defeat like this. And this really can only be how badly they can be allowed to perform. So their next game against Australia will be a real crunch match. If they lose that, their tournament is as good as over, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, now of course, uh, that was the first game on on the Wednesday. Uh, I don't was there any other games on the Wednesday? No. But then we moved to Australia versus Sri Lanka. Of course, Australia they got their victory. Of course, Sri Lanka they tried their best, both some bounces, which rattled some of the Australian batters. Um, but yeah, what did you make overall of the the that match? Australia really easy cruising when and for them, but one thing that will be an eye opener or maybe a struggle with them will be how fast their openers went out. Um, but they did uh, they did perform well. Aaron Finch for great knock. Same with Glenn Maxwell. So yeah, I think Australia did well. What do you think, man?
Yeah, don't forget about Marcus Stoinis coming in at the end and literally blasting Sri Lanka out of the park and taking the game away from them. Quite rightly adjudicated man of the match. And I do get what you're saying, obviously, about Warner going out, getting out cheaply, and obviously Finch not quite being able to capitalize much more on his good start. To be frank, Finch actually slowed down the innings in a way, but I guess you could say he had to stabilize the innings given that he had lost his opening partner and wanted to see other batsmen come in better form and try and put on the score. I had earmarked Glenn Maxwell as a key batsman for their team, but Stoinis, obviously, with today's innings, has come in and showed that he can be trusted to perform quite well. And as for the Sri Lankan bowlers, I think none of them really got much in terms of joy. And what was interesting today with Australia, not today, but was interesting with Australia performance on the 25th, that was the day before yesterday, if I'm not wrong, was that they obviously made a few changes to their team, one or two. They dropped Adam Zampa and brought in Ashton Agar. They resisted the temptation to bring Steve Smith back into the team, and still more or less the same. Other than that, it's more or less the same team which played against Pakistan. So Tim David still found a place in the team. But obviously, by bringing in Agar and deciding to have Stoinis and Marsh coming in, they basically ended up, adding two more bowlers to their arsenal. And the bowling was sort of disciplined enough to take a few wickets each. Nobody really standing out, except to some extent, Mitchell Stark with his economy rate. And so it was a case of Australia putting in a professional enough performance, knowing that only a win would do, and they did what they had to do. And Sri Lanka were just, they had no answers. So again, if we were to take a look at the table, for instance, I think Australia, Sri Lanka, and England, and now Ireland have one win and one loss apiece,
Yeah.
with Afghanistan and New Zealand obviously having a no-result game, a washout game due to rain. So it is quite tight, and England still have a lot of work to do, but so do Australia when they come up against England. And I believe Sri Lanka's next game will be against, I want to say, is it New Zealand or I don't know.
Right. Australia's.
Uh,
Who's next then? Uh, New Zealand, Australia face England next, and New Zealand face Sri Lanka next.
yes, New Zealand, Sri Lanka. That's going to be very key. And obviously, New Zealand, for the moment, sitting pretty at the top with an exceptional net run rate, will be quite happy. And yeah, so as I said, all of those four teams in the middle have a chance of progressing in theory.
Yeah.
And run rate, of course, will play a factor. So, for what it's worth, England is still above Australia, but England do need to sharpen themselves. Australia, having beaten Sri Lanka, they will be hungry to get back in. In Group 2, it's a somewhat different story because you have three unbeaten teams. South Africa and Zimbabwe are in the mix. Zimbabwe, of course, have a marginal net run rate difference, as do Pakistan. And it's at this early stage, Hanno, it is getting a little bit tight. We possibly might see make a judgment after the third or even fourth game as to where things will finish. I don't think the top two in each group will be determined necessarily on the fifth game week. It could be that it'll be determined before then, but we'll have to see.
Yeah, definitely. But we move before we move on, let's check. I says hello Ollie, be up yourself for joining. And yeah, now it's time to talk about our South African spice. So of course, early morning today, a South African played Bangladesh and made easy win of them. And Riley also with a beautiful knock of 102 or 5, something like that.
109.
109. There you go. Um, BFKC. Uh, and yeah, just all well done, Riley. Rousseau Contender Cock getting in there at 63 or 70 something there, I believe. So well done um, by Contender Cock for that. And then, of course, South Africa a few a few after Contender Cock went got out. It was just like the inning slowed down a bit. So we lost a few wickets here and there, eh, but definitely uh, we did good. And one worry from a South African point of view is how um, how after um, Quentin de Kock went out, we rather gave our wickets away or lost wickets easily. I think that's one major thing. Uh, so yeah, that's one major thing problem with South Africa to maybe look at who performs once, because you look, let's say Riley Rousseau got out earlier than he did, who would have stepped up and performed. That's the one question. But yeah, all round good win for South Africa. Good bowling out Bangladesh for what's 101 or wait, hold on, 101,
Uh,
yeah, all out. So yeah, well done, and yeah, all round good performance. Money, quick thoughts on that game?
an absolute thumping win, which sort of highlights South Africa's credentials in some respect, and also puts into perspective how much Bangladesh will continue to rely on Shakib Al Hassan, their captain and all rounder, and maybe one or two other players to do quite well. Here's the thing. The thing is, though, there have been a few good performances in this uh, in this Bangladeshi team so far. The only problem is they've been few and far between. Of course, Listen Das top scored with 34 of 31, barely a run ball. Uh, Hardly anyone was able to keep going. And obviously, with Rousseau dominating proceedings with the bat, um, mention must be made of Anrik Nortje, who snagged 4 wickets for 10. Could have perhaps had a fiver. Tabre Shamsi also did a good job with his left arm wrist spin. And this was certainly a complete all round performance. So, to answer your question about losing wickets at regular intervals with South Africa, again, if ifs and buts were sweets and nuts, we'd all have a Merry Christmas. But one of the things which impressed me about this game was the huge partnership between De Kock and Russo, and how they were able to effectively blunt the Bangladeshi attack for the best part of 13 overs, if you will, 13 and a half. And then, of course, once Quinton de Kock left, once he got out, obviously, the Bangladeshi tails would have been up a bit, and they believed that once they found a pattern that worked, they could do anything. And then, of course, with obviously with Shakib Al Hassan picking up a couple of wickets, um, there was it was that bounce was continuing. But by that time, I think it's fair to say that the South Africans had done enough. So I wouldn't really be too perturbed about the loss of wickets at regular intervals because they had put up a good score by then, 170 for 2, and they were well on track to get over 200 anyway. Bangladesh's batting is extremely brittle, and obviously um, when their bowler with their bowlers on song, the likes of Rabada, Norche, Maharaj, and company, Bangladesh really didn't have much of a prayer. The key is South Africa will be playing India on Sunday, and India, of course, are a team in terrific form. So South Africa are going to have to really come up with a proper game plan to try to stifle Kohli and Sharma and Yadav and company. And you mentioned Yadav in particular, also Pandya, just to make sure they don't really let them get away with any loose delivery. So Maharaj and Shamsi will certainly have a role to play, as will the fast bowlers, Rabada, Norche and company.
Yeah,
So it was a good win, no doubt, and certainly some consolation for the washout between South Africa and Zimbabwe. But I think South Africa do have some credentials. The only problem is, can they show those credentials against India? Because India do look likely to top the group. If they can trip India up, it would be a huge confidence boost for them. No doubt about it.
yeah, definitely, definitely. But yeah, let me now. The next time was of course India versus Netherlands. I don't think there's anything much to say. Just Surya Kumar Yadav, well done. Performed well in that match. Yeah, India just easy one for them. Think, Money, anything else to add?
Yeah, again, as you said, an easy win. I'm taking a look at the scorecard right now. Questions will be asked about Rahul Lokesh because he didn't really do too much against Pakistan, and even here today he came a bit of a cropper with just 9 runs off 12 balls. Many people will talk about how Shikhar Dhawan, a left-handed opener as well, was an excellent partner for Sharma at the top of the order, a lot more explosive rather. So he'll be missed, but again, decent partnership of 73 after the early loss. And then, of course, with Kohli and Yadav in, two magnificent informed batsmen, there could only be just one winner. And that was, of course, India. No joy for
Yeah,
the Dutch bowlers, of course. And again, as with Bangladesh, there was hardly anyone in the Netherlands team that was able to, score well, briskly, and consistently enough to take them to a decent total. Obviously, the likes of Tom Cooper, Scott Edwards, and Tim Pringle. Tim Pringle. I mean, he top scored, if ironically, with 20 off 15, but that was really never going to be enough. It's amazing how, as in their previous match, Paul van Meekeren, the tail ender, chose to hit out.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and
That's it.
sorry, was that a finger snap from you?
No, I'm just whistling.
Yeah. So India do look dominant, and again, as with Pakistan, their batting lineup pretty much took them through. I mean, obviously, against Pakistan that day, Sharma didn't get going, Yadav didn't get going, Rahul Lokesh didn't get going, and even Hardik Pandya wasn't able to do very much. But then they still bat very deep, including
Yeah,
Ashwin. So they are definitely the team to watch in this tournament. And as for the Netherlands, it's huff and puff, just can't blow the house down. Special mention again to India's bowlers. Bhuvaneshwar Kumar was outstanding, 2 for 9 off 3 magnificent figures. Arshdeep Singh continuing his good work. Akshay Patel recovering from that awful display against Pakistan to take 2 wickets. Ashwin Ravichandran also taking wickets with his off spin. They're settling down, and obviously
yeah,
this game against South Africa will be key in terms of who tops the group, because I really don't see Pakistan doing much to secure second place in the group. It'll be between South Africa and the Netherlands and Bangladesh. I mean, they've already beaten Bangladesh, haven't they? So, and Zimbabwe. Uh, no, you had a washout against Zimbabwe. So
yeah,
it's against India and Pakistan that your destiny will be realized. But
yeah,
it could very well be that India and South Africa do qualify, because Pakistan, as we will discuss with Zimbabwe, they look down and out, don't they?
yeah. That's a great segment into that. Um, but before we do that, Tuna PC or RIP Aspen.
Yeah.
United have scored that lot goal. Fair play. Who's playing tomorrow? Tomorrow, we'll get onto that games, but yeah, tomorrow is the big one. It's a Ashes clash. It's
Yes.
Australia vs England, and just before that, you've got Afghanistan vs Ireland. Um, both both games are at the MCG, so hopefully rain stays away from the MCG. But we know how Melbourne is like. And yeah, we definitely, of course, Zimbabwe with the upset. Um, oh, magnificent. Now, of course, I was angry at Zimbabwe for time wasting and everything like that. And then Pakistan. I was supporting them, hoping they would beat India. But boy, oh boy, was I rooting for Zimbabwe. Didn't think Zimbabwe could do it. But as soon as that first wicket fold, oh boy, boy, I got behind them. I was like, if Zimbabwe can beat them, that would be good for us because then we're 3 points clear of Pakistan, maybe equal on points of Zimbabwe, but they will drop points soon. And if we can somewhere get a win, in which I believe we will get a win with the Netherlands. Oh, boy, it's going to be a cracker. Yeah, just one thing.
An absolute cracker, no doubt about it.
But yeah, of course, Zimbabwe for last minute win. Of course, one by one run, exceptional. But yeah, Mani, quick thoughts on that match.
You know, it was a comeback for the ages. You take a look at the Zimbabwe innings, with the exception of Sean Williams, and of course Craig Irvine and Brad Evans chipping in, not really any other batsman was able to, get to grips with the Pakistani bowlers, who again bowled quite magnificently under the circumstances. And they rather wisely decided not to give Mohammad Nawaz any overs, which ironically works out well. A bit of a
Until the
choker for
end.
him, though. Yeah, but yeah, and of course, as long as I mean, the early losses again of Azam and Rizwan, they're cause for concern because they've been touted as the best opening partnership in the world, and with them going early, Azam on 13 runs and Rizwan on 23, that sort of sets the team back a little bit, because it's as if a large number of much wanted batsmen have not been able to find their groove in this tournament. Now, I wouldn't know whether that's necessarily due to some excellent bowling or some poor technique, or maybe the effect of the rain. Perhaps it's very hard to see. And I felt for Shan Masood, who obviously tried his best to keep the team afloat, and as long as he and Shardab Khan were doing well and Mohammad Nawaz was continuing to bat well, the team still had a chance. But credit as well to Sikandar Raza, who was actually born in Pakistan, in the Punjab province, but moved to Zimbabwe, you could see that although he speaks fluent Urdu, his heart is firmly with Zimbabwe, and he took three good wickets with his off spin for 25 runs off his 4 overs at 6.25. Extremely important performance, and in fact, he was the player of the match. So, it's the stuff of fairy tales for him, really. And, for this Zimbabwe team, I still think in many ways that they will overachieve with a result like this. The thing about teams like Zimbabwe and maybe Ireland to an extent, Hanno, is that you can count on them in many ways to provide a shock in the tournament, but they simply won't really have the momentum to go really far in the tournament, as it were. But they will certainly affect the fates of certain teams. And with this result, Pakistan now are in deep, deep trouble. And they've pretty much shown that the cricket they've played so far has been at some points found wanting in terms of intelligence and cricketing awareness and imagination. It's as if, like, especially when Mohammad Nawaz got out, it's as if he wasn't aware of the fielding change and wasn't able to, try and find another strategy, such as playing the ball into deep gaps in the outfield and run for singles. Because look, with 4 from 4, they didn't even need to hit a boundary, for heaven's sake. All they had to do was, just tip it in for a few singles, and they would have won. But they wanted to seal it with a big shot, and they failed quite miserably. And this defeat is something that will prompt a large number of inquests and post-mortems in the Pakistan camp. It could very well mean after this tournament that Babar Azam gets sacked and replaced as T20 captain. Maybe not, though, because I don't see anyone else banging it down the door to replace him. But Azam also needs to start stepping up and be counted as a batsman and as a captain. And it probably wouldn't be a bad idea if he decides to relieve himself from the captaincy during this tournament and concentrate on batting so that he can produce some scores again. It's um, it's not it's
Yeah,
not
definitely.
it's not improbable, but the only problem is with Pakistan being the way it is in terms of politics. I don't see that happening. But as for Zimbabwe, credit to them, they brought happiness to their country. They should still
Zimbabwe, Zimbabwe,
they should
Zimbabwe.
still be able to gain a little bit of capital to try and perform a little bit better. And again, I'm not going to predict that this will be the second coming because we see them pull off a few good results and then not be able to continue that. So let's just enjoy this Zimbabwe team while they're here. And if they can continue to provide a sting in the tail, who knows?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. So let's get on to the predictions. So first of all is Afghanistan versus Ireland tomorrow. That's of course 6 a.m. South African time, 5 a.m. Um, UK time, and I don't know. Wait, what to pick? I'm going just give a quick glance at the weather. But money, what do you think is going to end this match?
Hmm. For me, I take a look at both teams' comparative strengths and think that when it comes to bowling and batting combined, Ireland have probably more in them. And with Ireland boasting a win over England, their confidence will be high when it comes to playing this game. Whereas Afghanistan, they're certainly trying as hard as they can and huffing and puffing. And I know that their match against New Zealand was washed out, which means that they're certainly not in trouble by any stretch of the imagination, at least not yet. But again, I can't see this team doing too well against an Ireland team which will be, having their tails up. This could very well be a close game, but I think Ireland have enough in them to secure a win. I predict them to win either by 6 wickets or 20 runs.
Yeah, and they are saying there is going to be some rain. So hopefully it doesn't stay for long, and there can be a match. So yeah, Afghanistan versus Ireland. Uh, hmm, I'm going to say Afghanistan narrow one. Then Australia versus England. I'm going to go back England with a comfortable one. What do you think, Manny?
Are you backing Australia for a win or England for the win?
Yeah, Australia for one.
Yeah, sadly, I'm going to have to agree with you. I think England, unless they sort out their batting problems, they're going to find it extremely difficult. So I'm going for
Yeah.
Australia to win this either by 5 wickets or by 20 runs.
Okay. And Manny, do you still want to do a watch along for this game?
If you see it fit, because it will be 1:30 in the afternoon my time, and I will definitely be awake. And I would certainly love to stream this as a treat for our fans, our viewers who are watching in the United Kingdom, and obviously this will very well be of interest to a lot of people watching in South Africa. But again, you have the final decision on this. If you don't think we can do this, then you don't need to bother.
No, it's up to you because I'm going to be in school while this game is going to take place. So, it,
Oh well, if so, listen, if we can create it before going to school, then yeah, that would be perfect.
yeah, then we will be doing watch along. It might be on restream money because I don't have enough hours to do it on StreamYard. Um, so it will be on restream, but it will still be going to the
Excellent,
viewers. So,
excellent. I mean,
so yeah,
I've come to grips with Restream for the most part, so yeah, that's
yeah.
fine by me.
Right, yeah. We go just need to maybe keep an eye out on the rain side So yeah, Justin says England, 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 England. Justin,
That's the
you're in the
spirit,
map.
Chelsea fan.
England in the map. So yeah, New Zealand, Sri Lanka. For me, this is going to be easy. New Zealand to win, and I reckon easy win. And what do you
Yeah,
think, man?
for me, it could be a comfortable win. I mean, obviously Sri Lanka made short work of Ireland in an earlier game, but obviously weren't able to come to get their act together against Australia. So New Zealand should technically have enough to win, but again, Sri Lanka's spinners could do a little bit of damage. I think though it'll be a win for New Zealand, either by I'm going to say either by 4 wickets or by 15 to 20 runs.
Okay. And Bangladesh, Zimbabwe. Ooh, this is a tough one. One.
I'm
Mm,
going for Zimbabwe.
I also want to go for Zimbabwe. I'm going narrow one, I think, by the scrape. So yeah, if you want to know what's all the stuff are, so narrow one is 0 to 9 runs, 1 to 2 wickets, or 0 to 5 balls, or a super over. Comfortable, 10 to 24, 3 to 5 wickets. Easy, 25 to 39, and 40 plus is fresh. They are the stuff if you guys want to know what I'm on about. Um, and now, ooh, Perth, Perth. But first, Netherlands, Pakistan. Pakistan, easy one, I would say. A comfortable one.
It'll be a comfortable win, but any win will do for them. They need a win. I mean, they don't really have that bad a run rate, given that both of their games saw them bat out the full 20 overs. But they need a win. They need some runs on the board, points on the board, and if they can get their net run rate into a positive run rate, that would be really good.
Yeah. Um,
And
but
mind you, if Pakistan lose, that is their tournament over. So
yeah,
there's a lot
definitely.
riding on that.
Uh, so yeah, and then the next game.
India against South Africa on a
Okay.
Sunday.
Um, we might do a watch long. I might be on. But I don't know. I think I want to watch it with my parents. my dad with the country on. But we will see, we will see. But this is going to be a big game,
Oh yes, 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 yes,
and hopefully the rain doesn't play a factor. Hopefully, because I
yes.
want. I'm going to just check Perth. Uh, uh, okay. Just to check what they say now. Now, I know it's a
Mm.
bit. It's it's right in the future. Just want to check Sunday. So it says it's going to rain on Saturday day. On the Sunday, it's just going to be cloudy. So hopefully rain doesn't play a factor. But if South Africa are losing the match and struggling, then let the rain come down. Let it rain. Let it rain. And that's it. I'm going to back my boys. I'm going to back them. King Coley. Na 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 na. Goodbye. Stefka Narrow.
Narrow win, huh? Well, for me, I'm going to back India for this one because
Boo,
here,
boo.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Boo them as much as you
Nah,
want. I
fair
don't
enough,
care.
fair
I
enough.
don't care. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. I'm not really cheering for them anyway. But I mean, after England, they are effectively my second team. I mean, they have to be. Otherwise, I'd be drummed out. But I just think that with the way the batsmen and the bowlers have clicked so far, with the exception of maybe one or two, Sharma will be looking at getting the best possible combination for his team. It could very well mean that the opening batsman, Rahul Lokesh, might need to be dropped and someone new brought in if they can find one. Of course, the days of having Shikhar Dhawan opening the batting for India are gone for now. Hopefully, he can perhaps find his way back into form. And uh, I mean, I don't know if Dhawan is necessarily retired, but I just don't see any weakness in India's game right now. Whether it's batting or even bowling, they look very ominous, and their spinners. Um, I mean, certainly Ashwin Ravichandran and Akshar Patel might have a role to play in this game, and I just don't see South Africa being able to counter some really, really aggressive spin bowling.
Yeah,
So for me, it should be a comfortable win for India, 20 runs or 5 wickets.
fair enough. It's going within comfortable. But yeah. Uh, Chashan says, I hope your team wins. And yeah, thank you, Chashan. And so yeah, that's the end of the show. Manny, where can the people find you?
Yeah, you can find me on social media. I'm active on Twitter at Thangadurai1981. That's my surname and my year of birth. You can also catch me on Instagram for a more personal connection. The handle is Mani Thangadurai1981. That's my full name and my year of birth. And in addition to being on the Coaches Corner, where we discuss some football and cricket, thanks a lot to Hanno for having me on again. It's amazing to be able to do shows on cricket, do watch-alongs, and provide you coverage of this um, tournament. You can also find me on other football channels, mainly Arsenal fan channels, such as Del Boy Gunner TV, S Featley TV, and Tony Claude Gunner TV, Danny AFC TV, and also Oris Talks Football as an Arsenal fan among other different fans, most of them half my age. Still good fun. And of course, the Bournemouth fan channel, Up the Cherries in all departments. Terrific people, terrific content. Please check that out if you can. And I'm just happy to talk sports with people from all ages who are as passionate about them as I am. And I'm really grateful again for the opportunity. And I hope I'll get to see you all tomorrow and on Sunday when we bring some more cricket to your YouTube screens. So, peace
Yeah,
to all of you. Have yourselves a very good evening. Stay safe, stay happy, and I am out.
yeah. Yeah. We will end it soon. Just going through some of the last comments. Australia, yeah. We said Australia to win. Yeah. KFC also agrees with us. And yeah, But if you miss any of our predictions, make sure to go rewatch the show. And if you want to hear our thoughts on the Zimbabwe game, maybe even on the South African game, go rewatch the stream and make sure to share, like, and subscribe. And
Yeah.
yeah,
One more thing about Shikhar Dhawan. I think he's retired from international cricket, but he still plays first class cricket. He's now tried his hand in acting. Go figure. He's now become an actor.
wow, wow, wow. Check it out when they knew The Rock.
Maybe. I mean, if he can get the Rock's physique, he could give Dwayne Johnson a run for his money. Who knows? But
But yeah,
thinking
uh,
about that would be certainly something nice. Yeah.
that's it. Be active and it says good dream. Till next time, people. Bye. Bye. Everyone, have a good rest of your night or maybe morning, wherever you are. And yeah, peace out. Cheers.